Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called The Defender's Advantage, written by TheDagronPrince. There are three kinds of space travel. Everyone knows that. It's nothing new. Everyone also knows that only one is anywhere near practical. Sure, ships can warp. Accessing a sub-dimension isn't hard. Hell, I can store food in a sub-dimension. Keeps for cycles and cycles. Accessible from wherever as long as I have enough power and a dimensional tunneling unit. So yeah, warp should be easy. Size up that dimensional tunneling unit and increase its power. Pull your whole ship and self to a dimension where distances are a little more flexible. Do a whole bunch of math and travel to your destination. Except, there's always a hitch when you're traveling in a sub-dimension. Maybe time flows differently than you calculated, and you end up exiting dozens of years late. Maybe you somehow exit early, cause a paradox in space-time continuum, and explode. Maybe your math is just a fraction of a fraction of a fraction off, and you tunnel yourself right into an asteroid or a star and exit. You could, of course, forsake the whole idea of sub-dimensions together and simply try to fold space. Jump. It's possible. Some crazy Caraxnal did it. His ship was a cockpit strapped to a power plant big enough for 3 dreadnoughts strapped to a modified dimensional tunneling unit. But 5 size after he arrived, his ship exploded and took him with it. But hey, he technically jumped, for all the good it did him. Better to stay with hyperlanes. Always enter the same way, always exit the same way. Sure, it's a fixed path, but it's also almost instantaneous. Longest hyperlane I've heard of is 4 hours of travel, and it covers almost 1 million standard galactic light units. You could get halfway to the next galaxy if it were oriented the right way. Most of your time in hyperlane travel is transiting systems at near light speeds to get to the next entry point. Most of military strategy revolves around strategic hyperlanes. So, that's what we were doing. The entirety of the 7th, 14th, and 21st fleets of the Great Venteri Empire were clustered in a defensive formation around a space station in a heliosynchronous orbit near the hyperlane that the Empire of New Earth ships had to come out of. That we'd see the E&E's ships was practically a certainty. Sure, they could attempt one of the 5 other hyperlane routes into our empire, but to do so, they'd either have to pass through our allies who'd warn us, or take a route that crosses through about 5 black holes, dozens of pirate systems, and a few systems with hostile space creatures, and the territory of the extremely insular community, who would pretty much obliterate them on sight. So yeah, we were pretty confident that we would see the E&E here. We were arrayed in a standard box formation, with the extreme power of the 21st Fleet, His Holy Name's finest, directly across from the entrance. The 7th Fleet pivoted in a 6-degree angle to the left, and my fleet, the 14th, mirrored them on the right. An effective killing field. Our front armor was arguably the strongest in the galaxy, and our shields were biased forwards. The hyperlane station sat under us all, ready to rake the bellies of any ships that exited the lane. The only place we didn't have ships was above us, relative to the galactic disk. But that's fine. There's only so many places someone can exit a hyperlane. We had them all covered. We figured that the E&E could bring the equivalent of about 4 full fleets to bear, but with our superior training, thousands of cycles of ancestral space battle experience, and the defender's advantage, we were certain of victory. But days of waiting stretched on to weeks. Perhaps the E&E ships had taken the long way round. Perhaps one of them, our allies, had betrayed us and let them through. Perhaps they weren't coming. On the 21st day of waiting, praise be to his holy name, a lucky day, we finally detected the telltale pulses of hyperlane entry. At about 45 size, they'd be here. Klaxons screamed throughout the ship. Orders were relayed. Power plants started to ramp up to max power. 30 size, laser capacitors at 75 capacity. Mash drivers spooling up. 20 size, laser capacitors full. Need to be charged in a psych, but we have plenty of time. 10 size. Mash drivers launched. They'll be 3/4 of the way there by the time E&E shows up. No time for them to react. The E&E Vanguard won't even have time to fire off their lasers. 5, 4, 3, 2, one. Nothing. Nothing? Wait. Something. An asteroid, Class 5, shrieking out of the hyperlane at 0.9974 C. A flash of light on the sensors. It exploded into millions of pieces. Full shields front! Full shields front! Point defense engage! An old and useless tactic. Slinging a huge rock almost the size of a small moon at near light speed would generate impressive amounts of force. But our shields would harden and absorb the hit. Even if the ENE came right after that, we'd have plenty of power left to trash the shields with lasers before the slugs impacted. Just as the last of the pieces from the asteroid had been absorbed, the onboard sensors flashed white, as if they'd been jammed. I felt a shockwave through the ship. Had we been hit? We couldn't have. A crack echoed through space. I heard it in my ship. I heard it bounce off the hundreds of ships around me. No, that's not right. Sound doesn't travel in a vacuum. A shockwave tore through the ship like a bomb had gone off nearby. Wait, that wasn't right either.
Sir, contacts, E&E call signs.
Where?
Right behind the 21st, about 5 light cycles away.
Behind them? We just called full shields front. Our shields are facing the wrong direction. 5 light size away. That means their lasers would be here now.
Laser impact stern. Sir, we're losing the engines.
Warning alarms blazed as I watched the screen in terror. The sensors were already registering explosions in the rear echelon of the 21st. Lasers traveled at the speed of light and downed shields, fried external systems, and caused superficial damage. Mash driver rounds would follow a few seconds later, traveling just under the speed of light. They were the knockout punch, the killing blow. And they were headed for our unarmored, unshielded rear ends. My mind raced through what I knew were my final sighs. How had they gotten behind us? What was the crack and boom? Warp doesn't affect space like that. A shell ripped through the rear of my ship. We were at an angle to the attackers, so it didn't spine us, for all the good that would do. Atmosphere was venting, and more rounds were sure to be on the way. An impact severed our frontal armor plate from the rest of the ship and laid our bow wide open. Damn it! Did those humans figure out how to effectively jump? End of story. Story number 2. The Starchildren, written by Fiamma Galathon. I was so scared. There was too much blood. I didn't know if it was mine or someone else's anymore. My vision slowly slipped out of my grasp, the edges darkening. I could only run. The sharp pain in my lungs deepened with every second. My legs threatened to give up. But I needed to run. Barren wasteland that was once my farm. Run! Purple fire illuminating everything around. Only a bit more. A ruined house, just a bit, please. My body gave up. I curled on the ground, coughing up blood in between sobs. I don't want to die. Not now. I'm alone. And I don't want to die. I don't want to die like an animal. Please, help. The darkness was calm. No screams of people burned alive. No ugly crackling of fire. Nothing. It was comfy. I hadn't felt comfy for a long time. It was so welcoming. It even numbed my pain. And I want to die, but I can sleep a moment, right? Only a moment. The last thing I saw was a monster, big, burly, tall. I should have felt scared. I haven't. I didn't. It was a comfort. Someone was there when I died. A monster or not. Someone was there. I woke up. White ceiling, a bed. Sunlight. I woke up. Someone was there. Shh. It's all right. It's all right. Sleep. A warm and big hand caressed my fur. So gently. It meant no harm. I sat up groaning. I felt stiff and rusty. I was in a nice room, painted white and blue like the trees. My hands were bound by some sort of polymer wires, lightly enough that I could move. Then it dawned on me. There was no pain, or blood, or fire.
Is this the afterlife?
Suddenly, a weird machine next to my bed peeped, startling me out of my hooves. I heard steps in the hallway, heavy and weirdly muffled steps. A creature walked into my room, clad in a white uniform. It was big and tall, and was only a small patch of fur on its head. The thing that made me fear it were its eyes, though. Too small for its head, sharp and colorful, like the eyes of the monsters. "Hi," it greeted me, its voice weirdly deep and scratchy. "I'm glad you finally woke. I'm Dr. Kevin, a human. You are currently under the supervision of the Intergalactic Flying Hospital." The human smiled in a strangely familiar way. "Do you have any questions? Or do you want to drink something first?" "Human?" My ears swiveled in a move indicating curiosity. "Human. Maybe you've heard of us under a name of Starchildren, though." It looked smug. Starchildren? Starchildren! The legendary Starchildren! Saviors of the Milky Way! These Starchildren! They saved me. They saved me, and if they saved me, it means that they were there. And that means that maybe someone else survived. Oh, of course someone else survived. They wouldn't bother to save only one life. They'd save dozens and thousands. Someone must be alive. And maybe hope was still there. If they started to help, the monsters would be killed in a blink. There wouldn't be a war anymore. We would live in peace. I could finally see the stars again. End of story.
I would just quickly like to thank the T5 peeps: Dragon Soup, Cold War Boomerwaffen, Severin Cerberus, Red Panda 121, Leslie 517, Bushmaster 177, Caspar Arnold, Cam Maxwell, Sans the Skeleton, Lightjock, Dragzoon WRE, and Lord Azrakal. Thank you very much.